6
What?
on the dot.
Recording in progress.
It's now 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call this November 21st meeting of the Board of Public Safety to order. I certify that we conducted an executive session today, November 21st, 2023 at 5:40 p.m. and the topic of discussion was limited to receiving information about prospective and current employees. No final actions were taken by the board. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 17th meeting?
Attendance.
Oh, attendance.
Roll call.
Roll call. That's not on my thing. I don't like. For the record, that is not on my. Okay. We have to do a roll call attendance. So Ashley.
Isak.
Present. Mostly.
Rachel.
Present.
Natalia.
Present.
Kim is absent and Barbara.
Present.
Now I get to do approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve minutes from the October 17th meeting?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? And hearing none, will you call
I
roll?
sure will. Natalia.
Yes.
Isak.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
That motion carries. All right, we'll move on to police department business. Oh, can I get a verbal certification of the payroll? I'm sorry. I do not usually chair this meeting, y'all. Can I have a verbal certification?
Yes.
Thank you. Let's move on to police business.
Okay, we'll start with stats for November. You can see call volume is now well in excess of last year, as we've been talking about for the last several months. We're now at 66,000. I think we're going to probably crest even over what we anticipated. We'll probably get close to that 80,000 or more calls for service this year. Right now it's 22%, so we've dropped just a little bit from last year or last month as far as our rate of progression, but the numbers still continue to rise. Here's your comparison year to date. Remember, 21, 22 is a full year. 23 is just the year to date. So our numbers are tracking right along with what we've seen in the last couple of years. Some of them have already met and exceeded that, such as assault, some of the other categories, larceny, but we'll see where we wind up in the end, because we're still doing pretty good on some of the other categories. Where we have a little bit of a decrease, we'll see where we wind up. Traffic stops, again, we're seeing the increase as we discussed, following the path and pattern we anticipated. Crime involving weapons, again, we're a little bit below the curve from last year, but we do have essentially 2 months worth of reporting yet to go, and so we'll probably at least equal last year's, if not 2021's before we're done. Adult arrests for this in October were 210 as opposed to 188 from last year, and 210 this month as opposed to 184 in September. Again, nothing is really shocking there. Juvenile referrals did go up, but again, the law of small numbers, they went up by 6, so it's not that big of an increase. This was a hate crime reporting period ending September, where we had 0. So again, we report September and October, and we'll report the December into that quarter in January. To date, we've had 2 what we qualify as hate crimes throughout the entire year. Here's your nuisance calls for service slide, as we usually discuss. Disturbance still are the vast bulk of what we are going on in the nuisance call for service. But again, remember, as we've discussed, a lot of that's based on how the call is coded to begin with. It could be a lot of things that fall outside of this disturbance range. Intoxication also is well in excess of the pure intoxication, because it has a lot to do with most calls for service, and the vandalism is what it is. Training hours, we had 987.5, which is an increase from last year. 3 officers went to Indiana's Covert Drug Investigation School. 28 officers completed the Moyers mandatory police training that was online, part of the yearly requirements from the state of Indiana. 1 officer attended a traffic crash reconstruction school. 2 went to advanced traffic stops course. 1 went to high-risk vehicle stop instructor. We had canine, CERT, CDU, and CNT training as noted for those number of hours and the officers listed. We'll make a note that we lost one of the canines this month. Canine Ike died. It was not a line of duty death per se. He was 11 years old, so we were definitely on track to where he was coming to the end of his service life anyways, but he became ill and died suddenly one morning. Community engagement events, there were 18 as compared to 11 last year, 96 hours as compared to 30 last year, 35 personnel as opposed to 20 last year. With the Wonder Woman event at Monroe County Ministries, Buddha Drugs, Trunk or Treat event, DEA Take Back, the Residents Academy, the Citizens Academy, and the DRO meetings with our service providers. We've got a couple things coming up. You've got Shop with a Cop, which is a yearly thing that, while not run by the department, is run by the FOP. It brings in a number of children and families from across the community and clothes them each year. I don't know where they're going for it this year, but traditionally they go to one of a couple different stores and they get winter coats and boots and a toy and some other things, clothing. And then we've got several groups coming through with Cub Scout tours. Police social worker, again, 25 as opposed to 24 last year. Contacts 330 as opposed to 307. And again, you're seeing a kind of a summary of what they have done. It's what they do every month. They assist some clients with long-term therapists and medication. They were working hard with a family. They were trying to get some residential care for a juvenile. That's been an ongoing thing for them, and they've really been invested in that. Assisted a client with some interim psychiatric medication, waiting for the next appointment. I don't know what happened there, but I know that they were successful in getting the medication.
Are those numbers year to date or is it just month?
This month to month. And they also hosted and organized the 3rd annual BPD family Halloween party down at the training complex, which is always quite the success for the kids and the families. Letter appreciating commendations. Had a couple. Let you kind of read about this. This was Indiana DOT with various programs, one of which is damage to state property. They hand out these little kits to all of us that when there's damage to state property, we're supposed to tag it and mark it and let them know. And they traditionally have sent letters after the fact. So again, good program. They can't be everywhere at once, and seemingly we're just taking care of our own area here. Let you read this one. Basically, 2 officers responded to the Youth Services Bureau, also known as the Youth Shelter. The executive director there is thanking them for the professionalism, managed a very difficult situation. It's something that both of these officers do on a regular basis, but it's nice to see them noted.
Any questions or comments from the board?
As long as you already discussed this before, because I'm new, I don't know. You said something about traffic stops going up a lot, and why is that?
Well, we're out of COVID. We are emphasizing violent crime reduction, so part of that is traffic stops. Now, I will tell you a lot of those traffic stops are based on the calls for service. It's not a lot of speed zones or anything like that, but the officers are really trying to get in the area where we're having a lot of violence and seeing if they can interdict some of that before it starts. Along with that, you've got some folks in the FTO program who have to learn how to make traffic stops. So they were going to go up anyways, just simply because of the COVID. We kind of restricted a lot of it, but you're seeing also the officers spend what time they can when they're not on calls for service in those areas where we've had violent occurrences or it's burgeoning to be violent occurrences, trying to show both the presence and trying to interdict some of the crime before it happens. Now, again, we're trying to prove a negative there. Does the traffic stop necessarily prevent the crime? I don't know, because crime didn't happen. We do see decreases in calls for service in the areas when the officers are up there doing those things.
And I've asked this question, I think, probably the last 5 months, but now that we've had a little bit more time to maybe dive into when we first started seeing that peak of call volume, there was this disparity in saying we're getting so many more calls, but crime's down. And so getting an understanding of, where do we think these calls are coming from? Why are there so many more calls? What's happening in dispatch? Have you, in the last month, learned anything?
No, again, it's something you can't put your finger on one thing, because one month will be up high in one category, down in another category. Next month it reverses itself. Yeah. Some of the calls generate data Some of them don't generate data. You know, where you have, hey, we're sent to look for a suspicious item here, and you don't find it, or a suspicious person there, and you don't find it. Or others where you find it on your own and you generate the call for service. So we are literally all over the map, and we have done our best to try and diagnose, to understand what we're facing, and that's kind of slipping away from us, I'll just be honest with you. I mean, it's not that we've thrown our hands up, but you just have to understand that it's a non-predictable, non-quantifiable thing when it's all the way across the board. You know, it's sort of like all of a sudden everybody just decided to have an issue the police needed to address today some days. The officers are doing a phenomenal job keeping up with their call volume. They're doing a phenomenal job as far as making sure that we're making progress. We're trying to bring the violence down. The supervisors are really paying attention to what's going on. When we need to send an officer, we send an officer. When it's not an officer-related event, we deal with it in other ways. I can't say enough good things about the officer supervisors. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. They're going over and above. And a lot of them are really working themselves hard. Most of them are really working themselves hard. So to quantify where are we doing better at, I don't know. Why is crime going down? Because the officers are working hard. They're getting out there making the stops. They're getting out there making their contacts. They're going and checking out the suspicious people. They're going and doing the things that it takes to bring our crime rate back down. And so far it's showing.
Any other questions? Natalia, you have any questions?
You're muted.
Just kind of a quick one. How did the trunk or treat go? Because it happened right after our last meeting.
I went well. I think we had 4 or 5 employees go, and I think they really had a good time. I think there was some sort of competition about who decorated the best trunk. We didn't win that one, but I think everyone had a good time.
Great. No, I know that there were some competing trunk or treats, so I was excited to see you at Switchyard, kind of right in the middle. So that's great. Thank you.
And Captain Pedigal,
What do you think has contributed to more both outreach events and then our police officers participating in them?
You know, that's something that the chief has expressed his desire for us to, to really try and communicate more and with the community and to attend more of these community engagement events and really just put the officers out there so that people can meet them, so that they can discuss their issues with them or things that they're seeing in their neighborhoods. So that is something we really made a focus on, is trying to really expand our community outreach. So I think that that's why we see an increase in the numbers here towards the end of the year. And I think that the hope is that, with staffing and things like that, that we'll be able to continue to increase those throughout next year. I know I had a discussion with the chief the other day, and that is something that he's very passionate about. So we hope to be able to continue to increase those.
thank you, sir.
And the officers enjoy it. I mean, it's fun to go to these things and to, be able to interact with people, and you see kids and children that, they come running up to the officers. They want to see the car, they want to see the uniform. So I think that's also a reason why we get some pretty good participation from the officers.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, if no other comments, let's move on to personnel issues. Yeah. Okay, so say what?
General business?
Oh, general business. Any general business other than?
Staffing update, if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead and do the staffing.
Staffing update. We've hired 2 more, so we have 86 sworn officers currently. That leaves us 19 short. However, we are slated to hire 2 to start on November 13th. 1 is expected to start on December 11th. So that'll be 1 more towards that number. And then we have the 5 conditionals that I'm seeking the board's approval for this evening. We did just have an open hiring process this last Saturday. We did have 25 people show up and take all the testing, so that was good to see. It's an increase from previous processes, and I think that some of the successes there can be contributed to. We're using a different. It's a program that we purchased that you can communicate with applicants via text messaging, and I really think that's been successful. People simply don't communicate via email, and they don't check emails, but everyone always has their phone, and so we can communicate via text, send mass group messages, things like that, and try and get people to show up at these events. I think it's been successful. So we will invite, matter of fact, today I invited 21 that passed both the written and the physical testing, so we'll interview 21.
And
So,
That's great.
excited about that. Looks like we currently also have an ongoing hiring process for a community service specialist, which is the non-armed asset of our agency that, responds to those lower priority calls for service and things like that. We also have the dispatch social worker process back open, so that closes on November 30th, so we hope to be able to fill that position in the dispatch center.
Any other general business?
Oh, quick question on that. Okay, so without the number from the like the recruits, without that recruit class, and then assuming the 5 today, where do we look? Where would our number be? Does that make sense? Without the people that are in the recruiting class that just came in, like the 21 or the 20s, where hopefully would we be with where's that number before that?
Okay, so, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I fully understand. We have,
Okay, yeah, I'd be unclear, I know.
so if we have, we currently, as of right now, have 86 sworn officers that are on the payroll. The one that starts in December would make 87. And then if we were to be able to hire all 5 that we're offering the conditionals to, obviously that puts us at 92. And then we will continue with the hiring process that just started this past Saturday. I don't know, at the end of that process, not sure how many will come out from those 21 interviews, and the process is pretty long. So that's kind of where we currently sit.
Perfect, okay, so that's at 92, but there may be a retirement, right? So, is that gonna subtract from the 92?
I think what you're asking, we've talked about in months past, is how many are we able to put on the street right now working by themselves, correct?
Yeah, yes,
Right. That number's in the mid-70s right now. We're trending
Okay.
up, but it's in the mid-upper 70s from people on light duty because of injuries, illness, people pending retirement, and those that are still in the training program and over the academy.
Okay, excellent. And then remind me again of total capacity, if we were at 100%, what that number is?
It's 105.
105, okay, great. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. I appreciate it because I know that this has been a really tough year, that number means that everybody has to work harder. So, that sounds great about the training class and about just all the strides that are being made to recruit really good talent that's up to BPD's bar. So I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If none, purchases and procurements.
You're going to see continuation of a lot of things we've been efforting through the year. You'll see some pretty decent sums of money being spent for body armor. Those are mandatory replacements by the state of Indiana that come up every year. You'll see, again, more vehicles as we are able to source them from different places where we're able to just continue purchasing with the monies we have available to us. A couple of them were destroyed in crashes in the last couple of months, so that money has come back to us as insurance. So, of course, we've had to turn around and buy vehicles with those when we can find them. So you'll see that, and the monies for the upfitting of those vehicles as well. You'll see some more stuff coming off of a grant for radios, radio system portions of that. And I think for right now, that's about it. Next month, you'll see some other end-of-the-year spending, kind of closing loops on a couple different programs that we've identified that we need to kind of bolster just a little bit.
All right.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's move on to personnel issues then. Can I get a motion to offer Jessica Oswalt a conditional offer of employment as a sworn officer that is contingent upon Ms. Oswalt successfully completing the remaining steps in the hiring process, such as physical examination, psychological examination, accepted by the local and state pensions, etc.?
So moved. Rachel seconds.
I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ashley, will you please call roll?
Natalia,
Yes.
Isak,
Yes.
Rachel,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
That motion carries. Can I get a motion to offer Charles Roderick a conditional offer of employment as a sworn officer that is contingent upon Mr. Roderick successfully completing the remaining steps in the hiring process.
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Ashley, will you please call roll?
Switch it up. Barbara.
Yes.
Rachel. Yes. Esau.
Yes.
Natalia.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to offer Benjamin Miller a conditional offer of employment as a sworn officer that is contingent also upon Mr. Miller successfully completing the remaining steps in the hiring process?
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Ashley, will you please call roll?
Esau.
Yes.
Natalia.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
That motion carries. Can I get a motion to offer Casey Bretzman a conditional offer of employment as a sworn officer that is contingent upon Mr. Bretzman successfully completing the remaining steps in the hiring process?
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Ashley, will you please call roll?
Natalia.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
Esau.
Yes. That motion carries. The last one for Jared Pond. Can I get a motion to offer Jared Pond a conditional offer of employment as a sworn officer that is contingent upon Mr. Pond successfully completing the remaining steps in the hiring process?
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I will add for discussion with Mr. Pond, but this goes for everybody, that I'm very grateful for Captain Pedigo's very clear, very stellar,
Yes.
distinct write-up of each nomination, and I'm very grateful that they will serve with us. So
Yes.
that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley, will you please call roll?
Esau.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
Natalia.
Yes.
That motion carries. Moving on to promotions. Starting with Jacob Hunter. Can I get a motion to promote Officer Jacob Hunter to the rank of Sergeant effective December 11th, 2023?
So moved. Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Did you want me to read the statement?
I think it would be a good idea.
I'd like to read into the record the statement from Chief Decoff about Jacob Hunter. Officer Jacob Hunter began his career at the Bloomington Police Department on September 2nd, 2011. Of note, Jacob's father, Richard Hunter, was a BPD patrol officer and detective from 1979 until 2011. Jacob was a member of the U.S. Army 377th Military Police Reserve Unit, where he received many rewards and commendations. From 2011 until 2016, Jacob was assigned to the Patrol Division, where he worked both afternoon and night shift. He assumed the role of field training officer and assisted with teaching new recruit officers to successfully and safely work as solo patrol officers. In January of 2016, he was transferred to the Detective Division and became a general assignment detective. In this role, he investigated numerous high-profile cases, including murders, sexual assaults, and robberies, as well as becoming a certified voice stress analyst. Jacob received numerous awards, such as multiple life-saving awards and merit certificates. In October 2019, Jacob resigned from the Bloomington Police Department and accepted employment with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. However, just 1 year later, he returned to BPD as he felt BPD was his home and was a more appropriate agency for him to be employed at. Since his return to BPD, Jacob has once again excelled in the role of field training officer and accepted the additional responsibilities of being a senior field training officer. Throughout his 11 years at BPD, Jacob has demonstrated an excellent work ethic, and I respectfully request that the board promote Jacob Hunter to the rank of sergeant effective December 11, 2023. And again, this is from Chief Decoff, not from me. So I think that certainly makes the case that he's a good candidate.
Thank you so much. And we'd just like to add, we said that for the benefit of his family here, we did say this while meeting directly with Officer Hunter, that his life has been marked by service, and we are so grateful to have someone of your caliber willing to stay here at home. And may we keep you here for the rest of your career. But before that, let us vote. Ashley, will you please call roll?
Natalia.
Yes.
Isak.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Yes.
Rachel.
So enthusiastic.
Barbara.
Yes.
That motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations. It's hard to get through, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much for your service. Thank you.
All right. May I also get a motion to promote Sergeant Michael Baker to the rank of lieutenant effective December 11th, 2023?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I would like to share the letter from Chief Dekoff. Sergeant Michael Baker began his career at the Bloomington Police Department on September 24th, 2007. Prior to joining BPD, Michael worked for the Ball State University Police Department for 3 years. While at Ball State, he attended and successfully graduated from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. From 2007 until 2011, Michael was assigned to the Patrol Division, where he worked both afternoon and night shift. He assumed the role of field training officer and assisted with teaching new recruit officers to successfully and safely work as solo patrol officers. In June of 2011, Michael was transferred to the Detective Division and was assigned to the Special Investigations Unit. In his role as an SIU detective, Michael primarily investigated crimes associated with drugs, vice, and other violent offenses. He has received multiple awards for outstanding investigative work, including several merit awards, merit certificates, and a community service award. Further, several high-profile investigations that Michael has been a part of have been transferred to federal court, where the defendants have successfully been prosecuted and are no longer a threat to our community. In August of 2022, Michael was promoted to the rank of sergeant and is currently assigned to the Detective Division, where he supervises both general assignment detectives and SIU detectives. Michael continues to demonstrate excellent leadership and management skills, and I respectfully request that the board promote Michael Baker to the rank of lieutenant, effective December 11th, 2023.
I would just like to add that when we had our session, I don't know if this is a fair thing to say out loud, but I think it's worth saying out loud, that every time that people speak about Sergeant Baker, they say that he is one of the most intelligent people in the city of Bloomington, but acts, very humbly. So, I was very happy to say, no, not me, not me, not me. We are so grateful, again, for your commitment to this city. And your long service to this city. And again, I hope that we can keep you here forever. No. Let us call roll.
Barbara.
Yes.
Rachel.
Yes.
Isak.
Yes.
Natalia.
Yes.
That motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for your service.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also to your families, thank you for allowing them to serve. I think let's move on to CERT and ARV deployment report.
The ARV was not used in October.
Thank you very much.
I will redo that next month. I don't know how that happened.
It's kind of a happy color.
We wouldn't have noticed.
Just a happy accident.
Moving on to fire.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start off with some statistics on here. Numbers are following trending as we typically can see, but as you notice, each year is slightly higher than the last, so trending up annually from one year to the next is kind of what we've been seeing and expecting with growth or whatnot. IU seems to always follow a similar trend, and as when school is in session compared to when it is not. Each year is going to. Sure.
You have to keep the door open, is my understanding by law.
I'm not
Prop
sure
it back
that's
a little bit.
required. But open door law doesn't mean the door has to be physically open.
Okay, well,
Unless
that's
they're-
what Chris always says. so.
Okay. He's your attorney, I'm not even an attorney anymore. Go with Chris.
You get it on merit staff.
Yeah, that's true.
I
We
didn't want to
should
pay
just-
the fee
We
anymore.
just trust you. I forget that, you did this, so.
And I am senior to craft.
Yeah, that's true. I'll leave it close.
It's fine.
Yeah, we've got counsel.
Again, I'm not an attorney.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries. Okay, so IU following similar trends, as you can see, when school's in session compared to when it's not. Nothing too significantly different there. Our newer heat map, as we've shown you the last few sessions, is nice. The hot spots you see on there are all pretty similar to where we've had them. Had some congregation points, mainly for medical-related calls, sometimes fire alarms, but each of these can identify with a specific structure, usually.
What are the two in the south?
So one is Crawford,
Okay.
and one is currently College Square is its name. It changes frequently. Those are hotspots for us. I will say that those two locations have improved, specifically the further south one with the addition of some security on site. However, we're still there pretty frequently, and you can see our
I'm sorry,
responses.
what did you say the one further to the south is called?
That is College Square.
3100 Walnut Street, Pike.
Correct. Yeah, it's changed names quite a few times,
Oh, I
but
know
it's
that address, I didn't know the name. Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
It was Willow Manor.
Willow Manor. It seemed like
Okay,
that was the most
that's
well
what I
known.
thought it was.
Right.
Is that where we had the shooting, was it last month?
We've had several. Not,
There was one where it was 2 juveniles.
I don't believe it was there. It was close to there, though.
We had a pretty broad spectrum of responses there, ranging from fires to medical to police
The
response
one you're
orders.
speaking of actually occurred at Winslow Plaza.
Oh,
And they were
okay.
both adults.
that's right.
They just turned adults.
Oh, okay.
You know what would be really useful? I know, because I know that both you and the chief are like big data nerds. It would be, I think, quite interesting to have this map and then be able to see how many of those were false alarms versus real calls. Almost being able to, here's the activity map, and then showing where there's actual things happening.
The one in the middle is campus, yes.
For example, right?
So,
Because I imagine campus has lots of alarms, very few fires, type of thing, right?
Sure, no, that'd be a great way to perhaps have like an overlay between the two.
Right.
Being that this is a newer feature with the software we've implemented
Right.
recently, I'll have to dig into the capabilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like, that'd be
It'd be
great.
fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys just do all the cool data stuff. So.
No,
That's
I'd
already
love to
super
see it.
cool.
Yeah.
It's like interesting.
So as far as response times, you'll see with both EMS and fire, the majority of them are either at or just above our goals there, which translates to an overwhelming amount that's at or just above our arrival times that we're looking for. So I know that in prior sessions, to me being here, there was a yes or a no.
Right.
Like you made it or you didn't, where this is a little bit more interpretive of what's happening. Prevention is still doing great. The expansion to that division has really produced some nice numbers as far as our goals. You can see comparatively to last year, we're exceeding things considerably. That is directly related to adding our new personnel in there. So that's nice to see. Training hours are great, considering a majority of that time we were fairly understaffed. We've kind of hit a new interesting point with this in that with our staffing obstacles, we've been utilizing on-duty crews for the Recruit Academy. So we used to have, a training division comprised of someone on duty with that division and off-duty folks helping to do the Recruit Academy while operations continued as normal. Since we've been adding on-duty crews to help with it, it's increased training hours, and it's been kind of a nice back to basics training regimen for the crews that have maybe been typically doing more advanced things. So it's worked out well. It has been more demanding, as you can see the numbers, but it's been a nice kind of side effect of it. MIHs are still producing great things here. You can see the number of active clients have gone up, but the average visits per client have gone down, so that indicates like an efficiency. Essentially, the main goal here for this program is to provide the folks a connection with a resource that can be sustainable for them with help, and they don't need the MIHs anymore. And you can see a number of the wins up there are stating just that. So they're doing well with that, and as you can see by that data, they're improving at it. Not to say that every month will be better than the last, but I think they're just becoming better at networking and connecting people to the right resources and what they need.
When did that program begin?
So that was, I believe it began last year, but it really started formulating into data this year. You can see like some of the prior numbers were like a accumulation of what had happened up until that point before they started recording them monthly like this. So they have a lot more clients, and they are actively seeking more. We've come up, a couple things I didn't mention on here, we came up with some new ways to produce referrals with some of the community activity things that we do. It's a food drive, and there's going to be like a QR code sticker that goes on the food, so then when it's distributed, people can look it up and potentially get help that maybe don't know this exists. And so on that note, beyond just hitting patients and helping them, you can see they have some other connections there with the first aid stands. And Catalent was friendly enough to reach out with some items they thought could have been of use, and the MIH program ran with it and got those to who needed them. So doing all kinds of things in there. Have some appreciative letters here. I'm going to breeze through them. I've had a chance to look at these prior. So just some good involvement that the crews have had, and folks are always really kind with reaching back out to us with some nice letters regarding it.
These are always a good reminder to me to send thank you notes.
Yeah, it's always.
It really is, it's meaningful.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. I mean, I know the folks that attend these events aren't anticipating anything like that, and then when people send it, it's really nice. And we have the first arriving software now where it's like a display at each station, and we can post those on there, so all the crews can then see what they've been doing and the people that are appreciative and sending the notes in for them. And as far as general business, sure. Regarding staffing, we currently have 2 on FMLA. One will be on military leave for roughly a month, and then returning. And we just had 10 recruits finish the academy and come on shift, so it's been great. It's been very helpful. When we were speaking about the training hours, that's where a lot of those were dedicated to, was preparing them. So that was a full academy. It's lengthy and produced some good recruits now, probationary firefighters that we're seeing on shift. So that's very nice. So with those, that leaves us 5 vacancies currently, and we happen to have 5 remaining on the hiring list. That exhausts that list, so we will have to undergo a new hiring process that I believe will start in the first quarter of next year. On a realistic note, there are more anticipated vacancies that will exceed the 5 that are left. So
Is that due to people moving, people retiring?
those are projected retirements.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, there's always the ones that we didn't predict that will likely fall in there as well. But that's why we want to go ahead and get started with the hiring process and be prepared to fill those next vacancies upcoming. Let's see. So the 5 candidates that are left on the list are currently going through the per physicals and those types of functions. And if all goes well, we project them to start mid-January with a recruit academy. Hopefully 5, as long as the rest go well, which it appears that they will. Regarding expenditures, and I can't remember if we discussed this in a prior meeting. Earlier this year, we had a utility vehicle that had a tree fall on it. So after some time, that money has come back through from insurance, and we are purchasing another identical unit. So you will likely see the money placed in there and the money come back out for that. Preceding this meeting was the Board of Public Works meeting to approve bids for the Station 1 project. So that is slated to begin December 1st, and there will be some funding starting to go towards that. That will be bond funding but we'll start seeing that going underway, and we're all very excited. I know we need to plan out some form of groundbreaking for it, and would like to put like a fire department spin on it, instead of a shovel, maybe like the cutters or the spreaders breaking something or cutting something, So we'll make sure to make it something fun and get that information out and invite everybody. Only other major item, I think, funding-wise, is we have a roof renovation project at Station 2 that began last week, and funding will start to go into that as it progresses as well. I believe that should be the majority of anything significant, though we will have year-end things coming up that we'll try to be funding as we can.
Excellent. Any personnel issues?
No, nothing to mention in that category this time.
Excellent. Is there any old business? All right. Is there any new business? No? Does anybody from the public want to say anything?
Our vast public.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
How would one go about making a request for one of the police social workers to make a connection with a member of the community?
Certainly, you're welcome to provide the information to me, or I can provide you contact information directly for the senior social worker, and then she kind of then assigns one of the social workers or herself to actually make contact with the individual. So if a member of the public or yourself would like to receive that information, they're welcome to contact me, and I can provide either the contact or take the information and provide it directly to the social workers.
And people in general would find that out just by calling the police department.
Yeah,
And
and
saying-
a lot of times if someone calls in and says that they would like to speak with a social worker, or they would like a social worker to try and reach out to someone, then that call gets entered, and then they actually just return the phone call direct, and that way it doesn't even involve an officer, it just goes direct to the social workers. But now that's Monday through Friday. If we receive requests on the weekends, a lot of times the social workers are just notified. There's a couple different ways that the officers can notify the social workers, and then they follow up with it when they come back in the next regularly scheduled day.
All right. Any other comments, questions?
Just on that, on that same note, I'm curious, are you seeing that public awareness of the fact that the police has this program is rising? Are people turning to you more with questions for social workers or requests to have a social worker come? And what kinds of things have you done to raise public awareness of that service that you provide?
Yeah, so that has been an extremely successful program at the police department, and we continue to see other agencies from across the United States reach out to us for information about how we established our program, the types of calls that they respond to, how we maintain that confidentiality and make sure that they're maintaining, obviously, the working within their bounds as social workers. So honestly, I think the popularity of that program, they speak, I don't know, it seems like multiple times a week there is a request for one of the social workers to attend some sort of public event to spread awareness about that program and the fact that they are embedded within the police agency. And obviously we approve all of them.
Because it seems remarkable to me. It seems like a really kind of a standout aspect of the BPD, and I'm curious, like how well it's known, whether other police departments are taking notice.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
I would say it's not uncommon for us to get anywhere from probably 15 to 20, maybe more inquiries from other agencies each year. Many of those agencies actually travel to Bloomington. They send representatives. It's not uncommon for like a mayor or a city manager or something like that to actually travel to Bloomington and spend a couple days here and actually sit down and speak with the social workers and also with maybe the chief and maybe the deputy chief, myself, and kind of just discuss the program and the successes that we've seen with it. I know that our senior social worker just received a request to travel to Muncie, I believe the first week of December, to assist with their hiring process. Muncie is hiring their first social worker to be embedded within Muncie Police Department, and they came to us before, asked us about our program, wanted to mirror a lot of the things that we did into their program as they started theirs, and they have now asked that she be involved in the interviews as they try and select a candidate. So that, I know, is something that Melissa has done several times. She's traveled to several different agencies, and it just continues, the success of that program just continues to build.
It's almost a program that sells itself. You're talking about going outside.
Yeah,
It's that contact that keeps growing.
yeah.
And they're also involved in, the 3 different social workers that we have are involved in several different, like local boards and things like that. So when people learn what they do, then
Right. That's
curiosity kind of kicks in. They ask for more information, and they ask for presentations at, different board meetings, community meetings, things like that. And we try and accommodate everyone that we can, and it really is, it just basically sells itself. It's been so successful.
Kudos.
Yeah, both the chief and the senior social worker have spoken at the International Association of Chiefs of Police International Conference, and then also at the International Noble Conference. So that's a thing that continues to just keep going.
That was really impressive. One time I talked to one of your social workers when I was the human rights director. I would get calls about everything in the world because if something bad happened to you, it was a violation of human rights. And there was this one woman who was sending me multiple emails every day, and she was living in a world different from the rest of us live in, but she sounded suicidal to me. And I referred people all the time, but I had no idea what to do with this person because it was just such an odd situation. And I talked to your social worker. She was already aware of the situation, and she was so compassionate and helpful. And I was really impressed with that because it was not something I could help with, whatever was going on in that woman's brains.
I'm certainly proud of the selections that we made when we filled those positions. It takes, that profession itself takes a special person, and I feel like we have 3 very good ones. And we certainly hope to fill the dispatch position as well with another, qualified and quality applicant. So,
Well, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
thank